Hey, what's up? I hope you're doing great because we've got a massive update to talk about for Space Marine 2. Let's start with the headline edition, the Techmarine. This class is built around control, positioning, and multitasking in a way that no other class really does right now. The core of his identity is the Servo-Gun ability. When you activate it, it locks onto enemies in your line of sight and automatically fires while you're free to keep swinging in melee or firing your main weapon. That alone already changes the rhythm of combat, but it gets better. The Servo-Gun also lets you execute gun strikes without interrupting whatever else you're doing. So you can be mid-combo and still trigger that devastating follow-up without breaking flow. That's a huge deal in high-pressure situations. Now, there were quite a few adjustments coming out of the PTS feedback. Furious Gunstrike wasn't activating properly before, and that's now fixed. Revive Surge has been replaced entirely with a new prestige perk called Indomitable, which makes you invulnerable to damage while activating a Tarantula Sentry gun. That's a strong defensive utility option and clearly aimed at letting Techmarines commit to their setup role without getting instantly punished. Chained Headshots now properly increases headshot damage as intended. And then there's the big one. Volatile Sentry had its damage boost increased from 40% to 1000%. Yes, you heard that right. That is an enormous jump, and it completely transformed how threatening your turret setups can become. Several perks were tuned as well. Replenishing salvo cooldown was reduced from 90 seconds to 75. Arc Cleave had its damage bonus slightly reduced from 25% to 20%, and Explosives Adept was bumped from 20% to 35% damage. Lethal Perimeter now uses 50% less energy per shot instead of 20%, which makes sustained Servo-Gun use far more efficient. On the weapon side of things, Precision Servo-Gun damage was reduced by 10%, while the Bolter Servo-Gun cooldown was reduced by 20%. Also important, Servo damage now correctly scales with difficulty, which means no more weird inconsistencies depending on the mode you're playing. The game director mentioned they really wanted the Techmarine to feel different from the rest of the roster, and honestly, from everything here, it looks like that's exactly what they've done. They also made it clear more perk reworks are coming, so this class is likely going to keep evolving. Alongside the new class comes the Omnissian Axe, the Techmarine's signature weapon. This thing is built for devastation. Standard attacks hit hard on single targets, but the heavy finishers sweep through groups. You can even open with a powerful charge attack that hits everything in its path, which sounds perfect for initiating into clustered enemies. From PTS adjustments, responsiveness on Omnissian rush attacks has been improved, sweeping world damage was doubled, and the third light attack in the combo now properly breaks enemy guard. Several perks tied to the weapon were fixed or enhanced, including Executioner, having its duration increased to 5 seconds, and Explosive Strike, now having an actual energy explosion effect. Overall, it sounds like the axe is not only powerful, but finally functioning exactly how it was meant to. In PvE, the Techmarine gets access to Tarantula Sentry guns scattered throughout missions. These turrets provide automatic suppressive fire, but have limited ammo. Once they run dry, they go into standby, and only a Techmarine can reactivate them to restore supplies. That reinforces the class identity of area control and battlefield management. Spawn rates for these turrets have been increased by about 50%, more potential spawn areas were added net, and visibility of turret outlines has been improved. Difficulty scaling buttons were also fixed, so they should now behave consistently across modes. There's also a brand new piece of PvE equipment called Restorative Stimms. This healing item restores a small chunk of health immediately and then gradually restores a large amount of contested health over time. That design clearly encourages aggressive play. You pop it, push forward, and convert that contested bar into real survivability. Customization got some big upgrades too. You can now choose any face for PvE and PvP characters, regardless of class restrictions. So if you want an assault head on a heavy, you can do it. There's also a new voice selector in the Armory Hall, letting you customize your character's VO. On top of that, 3 new heroic weapons were added. Argent Edge, which is a fencing-type combat knife, Ultima Ratio, a fencing-type Omnissian Axe, and Deathwatch, a heavy bolt rifle with a grenade launcher. Argent Edge even received a 50% increase to repost damage from PTS feedback. Season Pass 2 brings in the Raven Guard Champion Pack and the Carcharodon's Chapter Pack, with the latter automatically unlocking its armor pieces upon purchase, rather than adding a new heraldry page. Outside the pass, 3 custom heads and voice options for Space Wolves, Blood Angels, and Black Templars were added for PvE characters. On the balance side, tactical perks saw adjustments. Balanced distribution now increases both negative and positive effects by 15% instead of 10%. Kraken Penetrator rounds now make bolter weapons deal 50% more damage with body shots, and it correctly applies only to bolter rounds. The game director addressed the headshot versus body shot debate, explaining that while headshots are meant to remain the optimal playstyle, the gap had become too extreme due to stacking multipliers. A broader overhaul of bolter damage and enemy sensitivity is coming. Sniper perks were improved with efficient readiness lasting 5 seconds after deactivation, ambush forcing stagger, and Vantage Point now having a readiness indicator. Assault saw squad cohesion increase to 15%, Hammer of Wrath moved to a prestige perk slot, and a brand new perk called Strong Strike introduced, restoring jump pack charge after a hit following a dash. Jump pack dash can now cancel any melee animation, and responsiveness after dash attacks has been improved. Several firearms in PvE received base damage buffs, including certain bolt rifle and bolt carbine variants. Inferno pistol gunstrike damage increased by 22%, Volkite pistol by 9%, and Sanctified Wrath Reliquary now grants 35% bonus melee damage for 20 seconds.